In this podcast episode, Ben Shapiro discusses the significant actions taken by President Trump, particularly focusing on his administration's approach to federal spending and immigration. Shapiro emphasizes that Trump is fulfilling his campaign promises by implementing a temporary pause on approximately $3 trillion in federal spending, allowing for a review of how taxpayer dollars are allocated. This pause, according to Shapiro, is not a blanket cut, but rather a strategic move to ensure that spending aligns with the president's priorities and the will of Congress. Shapiro explains that the Office of Management and Budget, OMB, under Trump's direction, issued a memo outlining this temporary spending freeze. He clarifies that mandatory spending programs like Medicare and Social Security will remain unaffected, countering claims from the media that individual benefits would be impacted. The memo aims to scrutinize discretionary spending, particularly targeting financial assistance programs that Shapiro argues have been misused for leftist agendas, such as funding for non-governmental organizations promoting social engineering. The podcast highlights the historical context of Trump's actions, referencing the impoundment authority that past presidents have utilized to withhold or delay spending. Shapiro notes that this authority has been used by various administrations, including those of Nixon and Johnson, to manage federal funds. He argues that the current backlash from the left, labeling Trump's actions as unconstitutional or dictatorial, is hypocritical given their previous expansions of executive power. Shapiro discusses the media's reaction to Trump's spending freeze, describing it as a freak out from the left, who claim that the president is overstepping his bounds. He points out that the media often misrepresents the implications of such executive actions, leading to public panic over potential funding cuts. He refers to instances of malicious compliance within federal agencies, where career employees may intentionally misinterpret or misapply Trump's directives to create negative headlines. One example Shapiro provides is the temporary shutdown of the Medicaid enrollment website, which he argues was a deliberate attempt by deep state actors to undermine Trump's agenda. He emphasizes that the administration quickly addressed the issue, reaffirming that no payments were affected and that the website would be back online shortly. The podcast also delves into Trump's immigration policies, highlighting a recent uptick in deportations. Shapiro notes that the number of arrests made by ICE has increased significantly, contrasting this with the previous administration's approach. He argues that the perception of chaos surrounding Trump's immigration policies is unfounded, as he is merely enforcing laws that were already in place. Shapiro features Stephen Miller, a prominent defender of Trump's immigration agenda, who articulates that the majority of illegal immigrants are not working in agriculture, countering the narrative that deportations would harm the agricultural sector. He emphasizes that illegal immigration primarily affects urban areas where many undocumented individuals are reliant on welfare rather than agricultural labor. A significant shift in the White House's approach to media relations is also discussed. Shapiro highlights the appointment of Carolyn Leavitt as the new White House press secretary, noting her commitment to transparency and inclusivity for new media outlets. He contrasts this with the previous administration's treatment of the press, suggesting that the Trump administration is more open to engaging with alternative media sources. Leavitt's first press conference is described as a turning point, where she directly challenges the legacy media's reporting and holds them accountable for inaccuracies. Shapiro praises her assertiveness and the administration's willingness to include new media voices in the conversation, marking a departure from the traditional press dynamics. Shapiro addresses the potential legal challenges that Trump's spending freeze may face, particularly regarding the scope of impoundment authority. He notes that a federal judge has temporarily paused the administration's order, raising questions about the limits of executive power. Shapiro argues that the Supreme Court's eventual ruling on this matter will clarify the president's authority in managing federal funds. The podcast also touches on the broader implications of Trump's actions for the future of federal spending and governance. Shapiro posits that the current political landscape, characterized by a growing distrust of government spending, may lead to a reevaluation of how taxpayer dollars are utilized.